I'm telling you, girls, the logic all works out. It's all sound. It's all right there. But if you really think that, does that mean you don't like me as a character anymore? You won't write for me? What? No, no, Sonny, no, sweetheart. Of course I'm still going to write awesome stories for you. I still feel bad for what's about to happen in Heart of Worlds. Oh, the show! Hello and welcome back to Fandom Fridays, where we proceed to check out all the pony fics that are not pony related. Why? Well, very simple. There's a lot of things we gotta do, and there's a lot of stories to tell. And doing pony just does not only sell it. Um, just ignore what's going on back there. It was a slight little theory I was discussing with Shimmer. It's not that important. So, still October, still looking at Supernatural, Buffy, and Yu Yu Hakusho stories. So, what do we have today? Well, I happened to find a interesting Supernatural Turles fic that I hope all of you will enjoy. So, sit back and relax as we here at the Treeberry Memorial Library are proud to present It's Not a Dream, a Supernatural and Ninja Turtles crossover. Enjoy. It's Not a Dream by Jared706. Chapter 1. Imagine yourself alone in a church sanctuary at night. The silence is deafening. Something about the room just doesn't feel right. Like there was something there, something not together real, but not altogether in your head. Now picture the way the shadows appear on the walls and ceiling. Feel that cool breeze run up your spine? A breeze that seems to come from somewhere. Something seems to be moving in the room, but nothing you could see. Of course, it's all in your imagination, right? April. So you had to be imagining things. A dream. April. Her name again. The voice was oddly familiar, yet surreal. Not quite there, but not entirely elsewhere. It had to be in a dream. Just go back to sleep, nothing was there. Nothing. That cold chill that seemed to engulf her must come from an open window. That had to be it. Walking to the window, she saw it was closed. Something was wrong. Out of place. But what? She go back to bed. It had to be her imagination. April, help me. That voice again. But this time it was more. Not just her name was said. She turned to where she thought she had heard it from. A mirror. Nothing else. Help me, please. Who are you? What do you want? April thought herself crazy. Here she was, a young woman, landlord over a fairly upscale apartment complex. Sophomore majoring in journalism. The perfect example of sane. Yet here she was, talking to a non-existent voice. Help me. A loud crash behind her. She turned to see the mirror fall to the ground, shattering. Glass peppered the room. Shards embedding themselves in April's exposed skin. Something was happening, and it wanted to get her attention. She had to let someone know. I'm sorry, is this a Nightmare on Elm Street crossover instead? Blood dripped from her multiple lacerations, leaving a path behind her from her room to the kitchen. She lifted the phone and dialed a number. A voice came over the phone. April? It's 1 in the morning. What's the matter? She tried to keep her voice clear, hide the fear as she spoke. She tried and ultimately failed. Casey, there's something here. It's after me. She says she needs help. What is it, April? What's there? She never got a chance to respond. The tone on a disconnected phone came through her receiver. She tried again, the same. Looking through her cell phone, she tried to call Casey again. Nothing. She couldn't get a call out. April, he's almost here. I'm afraid of him. He's going to do something awful. The voice again. How did it know her name? What did it want to do? She wasn't sure. What do you want with me? Who are you? April collapsed in the middle of the floor, curled tightly in a ball. She was scared. No response. The lights in the room suddenly flickered. April saw what she was talking to. Nothing. No one there. She was all alone in the room. The liquors flaked this time, in the flashing lights of figure. Figure of a young girl, there for a moment and gone again. April couldn't move. A cold hand seemed to have encompassed her. She tried to move, but found it impossible. Then everything went dark, and everything was different. Nothing looked the same. It was grainy, like a bad picture image, but she seemed to have through someone's eyes that were not her own. She saw a man, or at least it looked like a man. He seemed to be looking at something, but April couldn't see what. The man looked at her, or was it her he saw? He came closer. He reached for her as she tried to get away from him. He raced out, grabbing her, his grip tight. She could feel her wrists burn. His grip was deadly. April felt her body, or was it this other person's body, being dragged to crawl to the cement floor. Looking from the ground, she felt her hands being lifted over her head as they continued to the ceiling. Her toes could barely touch the ground. She could do nothing but hang. The man who bound her turned and left the room. The room April could now make out. It was small and shaped like a square, maybe a basement of some sort. There were other chains around the room, some on the ceiling and walls, draining the middle of the floor, with a dark stain all around it. Hard realization came over her. It was bloodstains. But whose or what blood? Nausea overcame her. She vomited. It was the blood of others. He was going to do something awful. She cried. Looking up through tear-streamed eyes, April could see a mirror in front of her. The reflection was not hers. It was that of a girl, young, maybe 12 or 13, with dark purple hair, several facing piecers, and riding clothing. April knew the face. A neighborhood girl. Her name was Angel. Why was April saying Angel like this? What was happening? She was seeing something that was about to happen. Or was it already happening? Above the mirror was a barred window. Cars passed by the busy streets. Across the street from the barred window was the remnants of a burned building. A building April recognized. The remnants the second time around. Her father's old antique store. The man came back down the stairs to the room, walking towards April. No, not April. It was April he walked towards. April was just seeing everything from Angel's eyes. He touched her face and smiled. A young girl like you shouldn't go ruin your beauty with all those nasty pieces of metal and makeup. If God wanted you to be born with bits of metal in your face, or painted up like a harlot, he would have made you that way. Oh, but the way you girls all behave these days, dressing in short skirts, shirts that show your belly, constantly on your cellular phones. You probably don't care much about what God says, or perhaps you're all harlots. April heard Angel speak. What are you going to do? The voice filled with fear. That must be it. Only one thing to do with harlots. They must be punished. A shame, really. God will forgive me. I'm only making his world a better place. The man slapped April across the face. April heard him pounding and yelling. April! April! Where are you? She felt her body. Yes, her body now, not Angel's, being shaken. Over her eyes, she saw a blurry figure holding her shoulders. The figure was tall and strong. A second voice came next. Miss O'Neill, are you injured? The second figure, much shorter, and stopped. Something about it was different. April, it's me, Casey. Me and Master Spur, too. Casey? What are you doing here? And why are you playing everywhere? Mr. Jones, perhaps we should treat her first before questioning her. Something has frightened her here. The second figure came close, resting his gray furred hand on April's shoulders. April was not concerned with the wounds right now. She was more concerned with all she had just seen through Angel's eyes. There's no time! We have to save her! April, it was a nightmare. It's okay now. Casey tried to comfort her. No, Casey, it wasn't a dream. She needs help before it's too late. We have to save her, now! Miss O'Neill, who needs help? Mrs. Ware spoke in his calm voice. Angel, it's going to hurt her. We don't have much time. Please, Casey, Mrs. Ware, we have to save her. I'm not delirious. I know it sounds crazy, but she needs our help. April, you okay? Yes, Casey, I swear. Now we have to get to her fast. Mrs. Ware kept calm. Slowly he approached April, looking into her tear-stained eyes. Where is she? I'll show you. Imagine if you can. being in the dark. Not just the dark, but pitch black. Uncertain of where you are. Uncertain of what he may be before you. Then you see a light. Light so vague it's barely visible. But you know if you can reach the light, you'd be free. You take a step, feeling free and fearing. Another step. Slowly you make your way towards that light. Right before you reach your light, your freedom is taken away and you're lost again. Was it all a tease? Maybe it was life playing a cruel joke on you. Or maybe it was just your call back to reality. A reality in which every time it seems something good will happen, it always falls through. Angel's reality. Angel didn't know how she got herself into the situation. Perhaps it was her own fault. Perhaps it was karma catching up to her. Whatever it was, it scared her. She saw him before her. A man she'd never seen before. Then he left again. She was alone again. Alone and cold. She laid against the wall. Her arms wrapped around her, and as she laid there, Angel cried. She wasn't the first one to be here, she could tell. The small room reeked of bleach, but the bleach could not help the smell of death that dwelled there. How many had it been before her? Not that it mattered. It was too late for them, and now too late for her. She'd soon join them. Would she be missed? Maybe by one or two people, but that would soon fade. She'd be another teenage runaway, a statistic. She didn't want to be a statistic, though. She was young. She wanted to live. But now, that all seemed a dream. A dream? Maybe this was just a dream. Or more accurately, a nightmare. Maybe in a few minutes she'd wake up to her alarm and... No, that was merely wishful thinking. This was too real to be a dream, as she knew there would be no alarm to save her. So she closed her steel-tained eyes and just waited. Then she was there. At first, she didn't recognize the face, and then it dawned on her. The face belonged to someone she had seen in the neighborhood. A young woman named April. She used to run the antique store Angel's grandmother used to drag her to. Against all hope of reasoning, Angel called out to her. April! April seemed to hear her. But how could that be possible? So Angel called again. April! April, help me! Help me, please! Angel heard footsteps approaching the stairs into the room. She explosively opened her eyes as she saw the doorknob beginning to move. She tried to hide herself tighter against the wall. It was a useless attempt. Angel closed her eyes and saw April again. April, he's almost here. I'm afraid of him. He's gonna do something awful! Somehow, she was able to talk to April. Somehow, April could hear her. Maybe, she thought, just maybe. No, it was impossible. But stranger things have happened. He came back. This time he reached for her, as he knew that any hopes of being saved as he felt his hands grabbed her. She was being dragged across the floor, and no matter how hard she fought him, it did no good. She was lifted in the air, felt her wrists being clamped over her head. Her feet came off the floor, only her toes could reach the ground. Then the man left again. In front of her, Angel saw a mirror. In that mirror wasn't her reflection, but the reflection of someone else. A young woman in her early 20s with red hair. It was April. At first, Angel thought she was seeing things, but when she looked, she saw April again. Angel didn't understand what was happening, nor did she care. She looked around the room frantically in hopes of finding something that would give April a clue to where she was. Then she saw it then. A window. And outside the windows, the remnants of the old antique store. It was probably too late for her, but at least April would know where to look, and maybe stop this man from doing this to someone else. That is, if April could figure out what was going on. The man came back down to the stairs and approached Angel. A young girl like you shouldn't go ruining your beauty with all those nasty bits of metal and that makeup. If God wanted you to be born with bits of metal in your face, or painted up like a harlot, he had made you that way. Oh, but the way you girls behave these days, dressing in short skirts, shirts that show your belly, constantly on your cellular phones! You probably don't care much about what God says. Perhaps you're all harlots. Angel looked at him, managed to choke out. What are you going to do? That must be it. There's only one thing to do with harlots. Must be punished. Shame, really. God will forgive me. I'm only making his world a better place. The man slapped Angel across the face, drawing blood from the corner of her mouth. You're demented, Angel cried out and vacated bravely. You'll never get away with this. My dear, this is God's will. He's guided my hand every time I've done this before. The man reached into a small briefcase he brought from upstairs, pulling out something that resembled pliers. You must learn from your mistakes and beg for forgiveness. Maybe then you'll be accepted at God's arms. Angel saw him lift the pliers toward her face, stopping above her left eyebrow piercing. So he could feel the pressure as he clasped down on the stud, and with a strong pull, pulled it from her face. She let out a scream of pain. The man smiled. Why? Angel asked as she cried. What did I do? Angel's question was cut short as he felt the clasp over her lower lip. She screamed even louder as he ripped the piercing free, blood flowing from her fresh tear. Through this pain you can have salvation. You'll learn. You'll pay the cost for your decision to live as you have. Angel wanted to say something else, but all she could do was spit out blood. The next, the stud was pulled from her nose. More pain. Then her ears. The whole time the man simply smiled and preached about God's will. His face was covered in blood now. The pain so immense that Angel longed only to die. I'm getting sympathy pains here, people! Sympathy pains! Ugh. Now that we've gotten rid of all that nasty metal, we can begin the body's cleansing, the man said as he withdrew a long knife and traced it along Angel's stomach. Angel knew it would be over soon enough. Tears streaked her face, intermingled with blood. She was terrified. She knew ultimately death awaited her, but she didn't know how painful a death would be. A noise came from the stairs. Maybe it was just wistful thinking. She heard the man turn towards the sound. This time the fear came from his voice. Demon! Monster! Be gone from this is God's place! Your kind are not welcome here! Master Splinter, you are slipping! I have expected you to pop up in the shadows where all you could see was the whites of his eyes as he says the next line. The voice that replied was not one she knew, but it was a cool and collective voice. It seems that you are multiple monsters, sir. The man came at him. No, I'm God's servant. I purify his earth. You shall not deter me. The man's voice was cut short as something came crashing through the air. Set your hi-ho, you holy high in my face! A different voice, less articulate than the one before it. You don't know nothing about what you're talking about! Angel seemed to hear all that was going on, but it somehow seemed surreal. Her mind just playing tricks on her. Could be anything else. Don't you dare give up now! Not that we're here for you. Angel felt her wrist come free. Her arms burned as the blood flowed back into them. Body collapsed to the floor. Dan had the strength to stand. Before she blacked out, she saw the blurry image of someone. No, someone standing above her. Too human and something else. He was nowhere near her. Everything blacked out. What do you mean we're not going to see Master Splinter kick some ass? Can you fathom what it's like to be weak? To know, no matter how hard you try, that there's always someone stronger than you? It seems no matter how hard you try, you never get any stronger. Imagine that. Then try to be completely helpless at the hands of those who are stronger. Nothing you can do about it. Now that one of you are given a chance to gain the strength, they can aid you in overcoming those who are stronger. A chance to prove your worth. Would you take it? He had been granted that chance. The demon and his acolytes had appeared from the shadows and stopped him before he could finish his work. They had overpowered him, knocked him unconscious, and took the harlot from him. There was nothing he could do. Yet, in his unconscious state, he had been handed 50. An archangel visited him, offered him a chance to have the strength to finish God's work. He simply needed to turn his body over to the being, and through the archangel's presence, he would have a new power. He was given this chance only once, and he knew he had no choice. He must finish his work. The presence filled him, and through the presence, he awoke. He was no longer in his basement. He was somewhere else. He was in a walled structure, several people around him. "He's a Rutnik," one of the people said. "Excellent," another voice said. "You have the right to remain silent. Anything you can say will or can be used against you in a court of law." I waived that right. His voice was not his own. It belonged to the entity within him. With a strength he didn't know he could ever possess, he threw the finger that read his rights against the wall. With a speed he never imagined, he cornered one of the others, snapping his neck with one hand. Gunshots were fired. He could feel it tearing into his body. But they seemed to do nothing but impede his actions. Truly, he had been given a gift from God. Within moments, everyone in the room died. Others tried to stop him, but they failed. Behind him a wake of destruction. Then he could see the light and smiled. He stepped out into the sunlight. He felt the light bathe his body. An energy invigorated him. A work far from over. There was much to do. Now nothing could stop him. Two beings now possessed his one body. The Archangel's presence dominating him, guiding his actions. The presence would lead him to what he sought. His visit would be completed. His first stop? His home. He needed his tools. From there, he would track those who opposed him. They would be cleansed. Somewhere on the outskirts of New York City, a large black Ford came to a stop. A middle-aged man dug through his glove box for something. A box specifically designed shotgun shells. He grabbed the shells and pulled out a double-barreled 12-gauge and loaded 2 shells. A smile crossed his face. He was a hunter, and his prey was here. Oh, look, author's note. For those of you wondering about the whereabouts of the 4, actually 5, because Venus is in my continuity, Turles, well, they're around, but they probably won't be showing up here. Okay, I'm done! Now I'm enjoying the story way too much. Chapter 4. Sleep. An escape from reality for a short period of time. But sometimes, a dream can signify so much more. Sometimes a dream could be a window into a different reality. Or more accurate, a different part of it from this reality. It was a dream that led April to her. Or something like a dream, at least. No. It wasn't a dream. It was real. Yet this time, it was a dream. It had to be. It was the only explanation. He was coming for her again. This time, though, nothing seemed to be able to stop him. He was stronger and more twisted. And when he spoke, he sounded like someone... No. Or like something else. Angel felt her heart racing. She could feel the pain of the metal being wrenched from her face again. Letting out a piercing cry, she bolted from her uneasy sleep. She was alone, and it was when she was alone that he would come for her. Why was this happening to her? What did she do to deserve this? Nothing. She did nothing. Yet somehow, she knew she had brought this upon herself. Who else could she blame? Maybe she could have been a better person. Maybe this was her recompense for what? Sleep. Yes, she needed sleep. It was only a dream, and dreams can't hurt you. She just needed to sleep. Uneasily, she fell back to sleep. Did she go to sleep then? There he was again. He stood before her, gently stroking his finger along her face. A broad smile over his face. More accurately, the semblance of his face. He then began to speak again. First it was incoherent, but slowly it came clearer. You are not the one I seek, but you will serve to suscitate me for now. These wounds, while not fatal, are a bit of an inconvenience. The fresh wounds on her face seemed to rip open as she slept. Hazel could feel the blood as it ran down her face. And though she tried to wake, she couldn't. She saw him withdraw her a knife. Are you sure that this isn't the Nightmare on Elm Street crossover? She could feel him making slight cuts into her skin. None fatal, but each progressively deeper. Each forming a more complex pattern. He then raised the blade to her neck. Hazel found herself coughing as she was choking. In his eyes, she could see the reflection of the person who she was doing this to. It was a young man. A silent gasp fell into no one's ears. Tears ran down his face. Given to his fate, he was dying. She was able to wake this time, as she felt around her midsection frantically. Relief flooded her sock system as she felt there was no blood. It had all been a dream. No, not a dream. A nightmare. The blood she had felt pour down her face was not present either. Yet somehow she knew something was not right. That had been more than a dream. It felt too real. She needed to talk to someone. She needed to be not alone right now. The only person she could think of was April. She would understand. Angel dressed quickly and made for the door. It was a short walk, but she didn't trust the darkness, so she called a cab. And soon arrived at a small apartment complex. She knocked. No one answered at first. Then she knocked again, this time harder. April opened the door. Seeing the fear on Angel's face, she ushered her aside swiftly. I'm sorry, but I needed someone. I couldn't handle being alone. Angel was seated at the counter in April's kitchen. It's okay, I'm here. A facade of a smile creeped across Angel's face. Lights flickered in the room. A power surge, that's all. Then the television in the background came on. A news report flashed across the screen, catching Angel's attention. That's him! That's the person I saw! Angel said frantically. Are you sure? I'm positive. He's in trouble! The report continued. The body of Marcus Aurelius was found outside the remnants of an old antique shop. The reports found the body to be marked with an odd pattern over the man's midsection. His throat cut to see what to be a ritualistic sacrifice. Police are looking into this, as well as other potential links. It's too late. I was too late. He asked for me to help, and now it's too late. It's not your fault. It's not. I'm going to get some help, okay? I promise. Angel just stared blankly at the screen as the television flickered off. In the background, April's voice sounded as she talked on the phone. No, I'm serious. She's convinced it's him, and I believe her. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Okay, we'll be waiting. Angel sat, still silent as April approached her, a reassuring hand on Angel's shoulder. He's after me, April. I don't know why, but he's coming after me. Shh, it's okay, Angel. I got some help coming. It'll be all right, I promise. Angel wanted to believe. No, Angel needed to believe she told the truth. Lights flickered on again. This time, they didn't immediately come back on. A familiar feeling encompassed April. A cold wind whipped through the room, and a presence seemed to make itself known. Lifting the phone, April was not surprised to see it lying dead. Her cell phone had lost all its service. It was happening again. At this time, April had to be the brave one. Okay, for first class, I'm looking at you for this. Looking around the room, they were in. April saw no one. She pulled a very scared Angel close to her. It's okay. I've got you. It's okay. April was trying to convince herself as much as she was trying to convince April. Isn't that sweet? A familiar voice sounded. He was right behind him. You're one of the demon's acolytes. You'll not get the upper hand on me this time, devil worshipper! His voice, while the same, seemed different. Like two voices merged into one. Wait, April, don't defend yourself. People are going to end up complaining that you're going to learn that you learned how to be strong, that you learned martial arts, and that you learned how to fight. True story, yo. April felt him approach her. Then a hand fell across her face, knocking her to the ground. She tried to stand, but he was not on her again. He was moving faster than anything April had ever seen. Lifting her above his head with one hand, he smiled. Not so strong without your demon master, I see. Or perhaps through God's grace I found a new strength. He withdrew a knife from somewhere on his person, as April saw the glint of the blade. A loud noise echoed through the room before he could do anything with the knife. Letting out a loud scream, he dropped April to the ground. He hit the ground hard, as pain, yes, he felt it this time, as pain vibrated through his body. How was this possible? Earlier, the federal authorities' guns had no more than irritated him. He looked at the source of his pain, and saw a grizzled man, leveling a shotgun in his direction. They heard another voice enter the room. Neither April nor Angel, nor this strange man. A voice that spoke in soft, foreign-sounding words. The words, they seemed to affect him as well. They seemed to be tearing at the spirit within him. Behind him, he saw the demon again. Of course, the demon! That cursed hell spirit was here. He was not prepared for the demon, not yet. Lifting himself from the ground, he rushed from the building as the demon continued speaking. After re-entering the streets, he fled into the darkness. Angel looked around the room. She saw several faces now. Aside from April, there was the guy who helped her the first time. Casey, as well as the odd little creatures he was still uncertain about. Then there was a new face, a bearded man in his middle age, wearing jeans and a black shirt and a shouldered shotgun. Casey spoke. Yep, knew it was a good idea to bring Master Splinter. You guys okay? He paid no mind to the stranger as he lifted April to her feet. Splinter, on the other hand, approached the stranger. The stranger leveled his gun at the rat. Do I even want to know what you are? I mean you no harm. I am merely a friend to the people you see here. Splinter spoke calmly, showing no signs of fear at the stranger. I am also a ninja. I have already dismantled your gun. What? Well, I guess it's good to have a friend who knows about exorcisms. The stranger shouldered his gun. Excuse me? Exorcisms? Like the movie? Casey looked at the stranger. Yeah, something like that. Yes, Mr. Jones. Just like the movie. Though I've never seen a regular shotgun do harm to a demon like that. Splinter walked closer to the stranger. Who's that? These shells are loaded with rock shot. Won't kill a demon, but sure hurts like hell. Look, I know you have a bit of a demon problem. It's okay. I know a thing or two about these things. The name's John. That's all really the information you need. Tell me what's going on. Yes, that'd be nice, April spoke. What is going on? Miss O'Neill, it's good to see that you're okay. As well as yourself, Miss Angel. Splinter placed a gentle hand on April's arm. I got this. According to these two, this freaking realistic nutjob has been causing these problems. It's actually possessed by a demon of some sorts. You know, like the movie? Casey spoke. I had to pride that he figured out what was going on. That's bad, isn't it? April looked for assurance. Also, why is he after Angel? Why does he see him killing that kid? An excellent question. But for now, it's a shame we don't have the answers. Perhaps Mr. Chong here can help save some light. Splinter looked toward the man with the gun. Perhaps, John spoke. Denial. It's many people's answers to dealing with problems they rather not face. Their answer to the existence of things they rather not believe. Is it possible that demons truly exist? That despite the overwhelming evidence, it can all be summed up neatly by a mental problem? Or medical treatment gone awry? Can something not of this world truly take its residence in a member of the mortal world? Many people would say it's not possible. They refuse to believe that their lives can be controlled by anyone aside from themselves. That recognition of reality, that demons do exist, would also inevitably mean that it was wholly possible that demons meant there was hell, and that hell meant there was heaven, and that heaven meant there was a God, which ultimately mean they weren't in control as they thought. On the other hand, those that do believe in the basic premise of a Judeo-Christian faith steer away from the notion of possession. It makes for a good story in ancient books, or in times long past, or an interesting topic on a movie. But in this modern day and age, it could not possible. Is there a reason for this belief? Aside from denial, there is none. These thoughts coursed through Angel's mind as he rested on the floor of April's home, as well as pondering as why she was caught up in the middle of it all. What does he have that made her see these things, experience these things? Aziel, have you been doing your hard work again? She was nothing special, yet she, whatever he is or was whatever, was focused on her automatically. If it hadn't been for Casey and April, and the other two, whom she was still unsure about, Splinter and John, she'd be gone. Also, how did these two strangers know so much about what was going on? Questions seemed to lead to more questions. A voice woke her from her contemplation. Child, how are you? It was the voice of the rat creature. A calm, soothing voice that frightened her as much as it left her at ease. I'm lost. Tears appeared in the corners of her eyes. Have you considered Jehovah's Witnesses? I'm sorry, guys, but this is the best jokes I got. True. A feeling that could not surprise anyone. So much has been thrown onto you, and you do not know why. You wish to know what's going on. The rat seemed to read her feelings. A long finger hand rested on her shoulder, and for one moment Angel's body eased. How do you know so much? What are you? And how do you know about these demon possessions, or whatever they are? An easy smile crossed the rat's face, reminding Angel of a grandfather he visits. I know so much, for I am an old rat. As for what I am, that is a story better suited for another time. What about that demon thing that's after me? Demons have existed for as long time as, perhaps longer. They are the Oni, an evil manifestation of evil in a physical form. In the doorway, Angel saw the grizzled old figure of John, the strangers who had saved her earlier in the day. So, Splinter, is it? How do you seem to know so much? I could ask you the same thing, Mr. John. Yet to answer your question, I am ninja. That explains that. The most I know about ninjas is that there's an age-old debate over who would win between ninjas and pirates. Well, that all depends. What type of ninjas and pirates are we talking about here? Because if it's a match between Luffy and Naruto, my money's on the Straw Hat. But a match between Sasuke and Jack Sparrow, I had to put my money on Sasuke. And a long time ago, the ninja were founded by an order of monks and priests, people who had long understood the notion of demons. It was believed that many were part demon themselves. Now, how about you, Mr. John? My wife was killed by one, and I won't rest until I find the thing that did it. I trained my sons how to deal with these things, too. Kind of a family business. Then it seems you and I have other things in common, John. I too have sons that I have trained to aid me in my own fight. Perhaps now we should retire to the kitchen to discuss this man before us. What I wouldn't give for the TMNT and Dean and Sam to show up at one point in the story. With that, both John and Splinter left the room. Angel was alone in her thoughts, hoping to forget her problems for a moment that she decided to sleep. It was an uneasy sleep, but one of the visits of dying people. All that occupied her mind were the notions of the things that she had heard from the rat and grizzly man. A loud crash from the outside was all that awoke her. She didn't know how long she slept, but it seemed that everyone else had done the same. The door to the apartment flew open, and in the frame stood the man. The demon man. Trogdor. Pulling herself against the far wall, Angel attempted to hide herself behind a blanket, a faint hope that would ultimately prove futile. His eyes showed no semblance of humanity any longer. His cackling laughter sounded like something from someone's only worst nightmares. He approached her and smiled as he ripped the blanket away. Angel attempted to call out for help. Nothing came from her throat. It'll be useless to call for help, harlot. No one will hear. What was he talking about? The others were in the next room. They had to be. They wouldn't leave her alone, would they? No, of course not. Time words came to her throat. April! Casey! Splinter! John! A smile crossed his face. You call the demon as acolytes, do you? If God does not fear the evil, they will be dealt with when the time is appropriate. It is too late for two of them, though. He motioned for Angel to look behind him, and there from the ceiling hung the hood forward Casey Jones. To his right, April lay on the ground, horror playing through her throat, a throat that seemed newly set, and he smiled. See, to each his retribution. Angel then heard his shotgun prepare to fire, but as the bullet flew from the barrel, it seemed to glance the demon man. Parlor tricks won't work on me this time, mortal. Last time I was caught off guard. Last time I came prepared. John was prepared to fire again, but the demon man was upon John in a swiftly light move. His throat was being crushed beneath the demon's grip. John was tossed weightlessly and motionless into the wall against Angel. It was over. She knew it was too late for anyone to save her. She would die this time. The calm voice of Splinter came from elsewhere. All words he spoke before seemed to fill the room again. This time the demon seemed to pay no attention. The demon was behind Splinter. In one swift motion, a loud crack echoed through the room as Splinter collapsed to the ground, neck broken in a twist. The demon approached Angel again. It is now you and I, child. Your retribution is now to be paid. Angel was alone. Steve was all alone. Death wouldn't be too bad, she hoped. At least she would be freed. And if you people think that's the real story, I have a feeling. I mean, come on. You can see this is a dream. Death? Death. The end of everything. After death, there is something else. It's inevitable. And those that do try to elude it always fail. It is the final solution to the mortal conundrum. Yet, is it to be feared? Many seek death. It allows them a means to escape and be free from life's problems. They reach out for it, long for it, and ultimately they receive it. It's the end. Or is it? Is death truly the end of everything? Or just the end of life as we know it? Oh my gosh. Guys. Who wants to see me do a Final Destination fanfic on this show? Raise your hand. Come on, people. I mean, it'll be fun. We can find a good crossover and rep it. I mean, it would be so cool. Whatever it was, Angel was in no hurry to find the answer. She was afraid of it, but it found her. And soon, she would know the answers to these questions, whether she wanted to or not. Angel! A voice called out her name. Wake up! Angel woke something, her heart trying to bend out of her chest. She was covered in sweat. Couldn't breathe easily. Did you see something else? It was John's voice. Angel looked around the room and noticed that 4 bodies, whom she just laying around her, dead. They were alive. It had only been a dream, or had it. I think we're all going to die, Angel said, her voice quivering.
It's okay, kid. We're safe. Nobody's going to die.
John tried to calm Angel. Angel wanted to believe him. She really did. But something told her that he wasn't near as certain as he tried to seem. April came to her side and helped her to her feet, feeling April's forehead. Oh my God, she's burning up! Angel! Casey, go get! April was cut short by Angel. No, I'm fine. I just need something to drink. Casey ran to the kitchen, returning a glass of water. John looked towards Blair and half joked.
She may need something a bit stronger.
All the while, the ruckus was going on around her. Angel could not regain her composure. She began thinking her dream was not just a dream, but it was something else entirely. It felt more like a vision. Usually it seems her dreams or visions, or whatever the hell they were, seemed to come to pass. Drawing the water in nearly one gulp, she looked to those around her, all strangers for the most part, trying to help her, protect her, and she didn't know why. But she wasn't going to let them die. Not for her, anyway. He's coming, Angel said quietly. I know. He's coming. He's going to kill us all.
No, child. He isn't going to kill us. We will not allow it. Mr. John, can I speak to you momentarily?
Master Slayer flagged for the grizzled man to follow him into the kitchen.
You, Angel, you want another glass of water?
Casey asked calmly. Please. Casey made his way back to the kitchen, though he didn't return as swiftly this time. The kitchen.
You're certain it will work?
Splinter asked John.
Guarantee it. Not the first time I've dealt with something like this. Sure as hell won't be the last.
John responded confidently.
You two seem to know about this horror movie stuff, so just tell me what you need, and I'll do my best.
Casey said, filling Angel's glass.
That's all any of us can do, Casey,
the rat said.
But for now, we need chalk.
Before Angel had known any better, she had downed several more glasses of water. Her nerves still shot. Nearby, John and the old rat were scrawling images on the ceiling. Some kind of pentagram or something. It made her uneasy, but she trusted her judgment. As the day progressed, it seemed less and less likely he would come. Perhaps this time it had been just a dream. This time they were safe. With this in mind, Angel relaxed slightly. Then the feeling of impending doom returned. The room seemed to be drastically colder, and the lights began to flicker. He's coming! Angel said, before hiding her face in her hands. She knew what was coming. Death would be there shortly.
Good.
Lights flickered again, and this time they didn't come immediately back on. Everyone in the room could feel the shift in temperature. The door flew open, and there he was, the look of evil still in his eyes.
Your time is up, he said as he entered the room. See if you've chosen to face God's wrath and bravery.
How foolish.
John looked in the demon's direction and smiled.
Come and get some!
Cue awesome music! He, the demon man, just looked perplexed.
I see you're a brave acolyte. Too bad you'll soon be a dead one.
He tried to lurch towards John, but somehow met resistance.
What? What is this?
He lurched again, but still met resistance.
Magics! This is the devil's doing. How is this possible?
Casey spoke this time.
Look up and you'll see your answer.
He did as he suggested. Above him was a design of some sort, etched to the ceiling.
No matter how many times I've used this trick, they always fall for it.
John laughed. He still seemed confused.
Let me enlighten you, half-rate demon, John teased him. This is what we call a captive circle. No matter how hard you try, you are not going anywhere. So unless you're looking for a very painful, very brutal exorcism, you'll start talking. Now.
Captivity. To be held against to someone's will. To be able to do nothing and be held at the mercy of someone else. A feeling of complete hopelessness and weakness. And here he was, and the complete monsters that the very monster he destroyed, he'd fallen into an obvious trap. He had been a fool, and now he was caught. The demon and his acolytes had him at their mercy.
Let me enlighten you, you half-rate demon,
the one called John spoke. How dare that thing speak to him that way?
This is what we call a captive circle. No matter how hard you try, you're not going anywhere. So unless you're looking for a very painful and very brutal exorcism, you'll start talking. Now.
Then John spoke to him as if he was the monster. They had used the blackest of magics and they would pay.
Who are you?
The acolyte questioned again. No matter how hard he tried to resist, something was forcing him to speak. A voice not his own came forth.
I am the one to punish sinners, the one sent to make evil pay. I am.
The rat demon stepped forward, and began speaking in an odd fashion. The words he spoke made no sense, but they pulled at him, hurting him.
Looks like you want to play games, Acolyte John said, moving closer. Who are you?
I am.
The rat demon spoke louder, swifter. The pain was unbearable. His very essence seemed to be ripped from the inside.
You filthy creatures can never win. If I go, the very gates of heaven will...
The gates of heaven will open and rain down judgment upon you all! The words barely escaped from his lips. Nearby, the young harlot seemed to cringe in pain. As he fell to the ground, her screams filled the room. He merely forced a smile through his pain. As his very essence was being ripped apart, the rat demon continued his words. No! He's not lying! He smiled to himself. It was too late. His face twisted in agony. As he looked towards the ceiling, and an explosive burst of black acid protruded from his mouth as he screamed in pain. All that left was the cell of who he originally was. He smiled vaguely, then dropped his head. It was over for him. What just happened? Casey looked on. The splinter finished his incantation. As John prodded the body to make sure it was actually dead. Is it over? April looked at the rat and grizzled man. Angel still lay on the ground, curled in a ball. It's never over. It's just beginning. No, he's gone, see? You don't have to worry anymore. April tried to comfort Angel. No. It's never over. It's just beginning. Others will come, and then... Angel's words were cut short as he clutched the ground. Everybody slept. Casey, can you help me get her to the bed? April looked towards Casey Jones.
Sure thing, April. You two need anything?
I am good, Mr. Jones. Thank you.
Splinter bowed his head towards Casey.
Me too.
John still prodded the body. Casey lifted Angel gently from the ground and carried her to Angel's room.
Do you think he was telling the truth about this being just beginning?
Unless he found a way to trick the spell, then yes.
It is as I feared. Are you remaining here, Mr. John?
Can't. I have many things I need to do. But if you ever need anything, just let me know. Anyway, I'll take care of this body. Can you tell the others I'll see him around?
Very well.
At Swear's words, John lifted the body of the fallen man onto his shoulders and slowly made his way to the truck. Placing the body into the bed of the truck, he loaded it up and started the ignition. As he left the city, he called his cell phone. He looked at several missed calls and several voicemails, all from his sons. He ignored them and dialed a number. Hello? A female's voice came from the other end of the line. Dr. Spangler's office. This is Janie speaking. How can I help you? Dr. Spangler? Janie? No. You can't mean... No! Please tell me that you aren't!
Let me speak to Dr. Spangler. Tell him it's John Winchester.
Very well, Mr. Winchester. 1 moment, please. No. You can't possibly mean you're about to... No!
No, I will hug you, Fick. I will genuinely hug you if you're about to do what I think you're going to do.
John sat there a moment, on hold. Moments later, a familiar voice came on the line.
Hello, John. How can I help you? I just thought you know something severe is about to happen, so that it falls up right up your alley. Not sure when it'll start, but I'll know it'll be soon. I understand.
Dr. Spangler's voice replied.
Good to hear you, Egon.
Egon? Did you just have John Winchester talk to a freaking Ghostbuster? Oh, come here, you lovely, thank you! Oh, that's just, oh, that is just glorious. Oh.
I'll be in touch later, John.
The end.
Later, the Ghostbusters did what they did best. They kicked ass and took names. Why? Because they're the freaking Ghostbusters, what? Well, that ending just really shot this fic up.
I'm sorry, folks. The review's going to have to be delayed for a few seconds here. I need to recover from this sheer bit of awesome. Okay. I need to get my mind to calm down. I need to calm down. Okay, think of bad fix. Think of Mikan. Okay, I am a reviewer. I'm a professional. I can do this. Ha! Shut up, Trixie, I am. This fic? Pretty dang good. What I like about it is that it played out essentially like a really good episode of Supernatural. Back before the demons were overplayed, overused, overdone, and overshot, and were so intrusive to the overall plot. Instead, the demons were played like they used to be. They had a menace to them. They were fearful, and they were actually genuinely scary. And that's what we got here. The pacing was well done. And while there were some few spelling errors, here and there, a few grammatical mistakes, I gotta admit, it was very, very light. Not very much there, and all of it was really done well. Just needed a few touches here and there. Everybody was in character, especially Splinter, acting his usual old and wise self, caring and kind. You could feel just through the story's presence that he wanted to be there to offer his assistance or to help. You always could tell that he knew more than he was letting on. John, Supernatural as of late has seemed to have gone to the point where they want to demonize John for everything, that they want to keep turning him into this a-hole constantly. They forgot that John could be just as awesome as himself. And this fic brings us back to that. They show us why John worked as a character. Because we didn't see him. We didn't know that much about him other than what Sam and Dean went through. I also love Casey, and Angel worked really well as a solid character. The suspense, the descriptions also really helped keep this story moving at a good pace. I also like the demon. How he was able to easily influence one of those insane serial killers. And, as I said, this did feel like a good, short episode of Supernatural that allowed a whole bunch of crossovers. If I have two complaints. It's, one, the ending made this feel like it was a continuation, and I know he said it was, but I feel like I really wanted to know more. And I think I'll need to look up his story to see if this actually does continue. Number two. The Turtles at 17 were not in there. I mean, look, I know what you wanted to do. You wanted to tell a story that did not have Sam and Dean and the Turtles because you wanted to use other characters that you didn't use as much. Okay, I understand that. I get that. But I go to our Turtles and Supernatural crossover to see the TMNT working together with Sam and Dean. I want the freaking Turtles. How cool would it have been if, when that guy busted out the door, instead of seeing poor little defenseless Angel there, he instead saw
a pair of nunchucks, some size, a bow staff, and a katana. Really, I just wanted the Turles to show up and proceed to kick this guy's butt, or at least Sam and Dean holding their shotguns together. I just, sorry, it's a minor complaint. But then again, there have been great episodes of the Turtles and Supernatural where they do focus on somebody other than Sam and Dean and the Turtles. And that's just what this felt like. This felt like a story that was told outside the perspective of our usual main heroes. But I think the greatest moment of this fic, the best part, came at the end. Egon Spengler of the Ghostbusters showed up, and he married Janie, and John Winchester called them. And I finally got to play Egon. I'm sorry, but Ghostbusters is like one of my favorite ghost hunting cartoons. I mean, like everybody else, yes, I owned a Proton Pack. I own Echo One. I also owned a Trapper, and I so love the original TV series. The original TV show, the original cartoon, as done by JMS before it went down to the crapper, was some of the best out there for 80s television ever. Go on, just take that work and compare it to a lot of the other 80s stuff. I can guarantee you, it was pure awesome. So just to see John Winchester and Egon Spengler talking for even those few moments, that was a glorious thing. And there sounds like there's going to be a huge rumble in New York. Please tell me that means there's a Ghostbusters and Turtles crossover where they proceed to fight an evil, powerful demon from up in the sky, and they proceed to kick its butt. That's like the idea of the Ghostbusters and Turtles working together would actually be a pretty cool story. I think I might know what I'm going to do next week. That was one busted. Thousands more to go. I'll see you next time. Ghostbusters!